We're talking about the 90s here. So let's say they may come to you and say, hey, Lee, guess what? We're getting rid of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and putting something else in there. You field the guest comments.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get the guest comments. There's hate mail on the internet about me anyway when they took out Mr. Toad's Ride.
Get out of here.
Oh, yeah, people want to kill you. I mean, wow. I mean, it's everybody wants everything to be the same at Disney, but they want changes too, and you can't do both.
You're listening to the Magic Our Way podcast, and I hope you're liking it as much as I am. I'm just rolling on the ground with laughter. This is so much fun. Are you enjoying it like I am? That's good. That's good. Anyway, here's looking at you. Here's treats. Don't punch that button. I'm not through talking.
Jumbo, everyone.
Harambe.
And welcome to another edition of the Magic Our Way podcast. Asante Sana, everyone. You are listening to the Magic Our Way podcast from New Orleans, Louisiana, USA. We are artistic buffs talking Disney stuff, and we can take our conversation anywhere, and we will not be pigeonholed. My name is Kevin.
And I am Danny.
And with us today, we have our resident comic genius from ivorycomics.com, Mr. Eli Ivory. How you doing, Eli?
And the words of my pawpaw, to rat, Mohican Nation. How you doing?
Don't do that. We lose ratings every time you do that.
I didn't do the thing. I didn't do the thing. People like it.
When every time you rat, an angel loses its wings.
Oh, man, come on. Angel can still fly.
I'm just kidding. That's right.
But an old person gets extra oxygen.
Oh, yeah. Maleficent got her wings back, so I guess it's okay.
All right. Well, that was my thing. But I'm glad to be here. Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, I'm going to interrupt my past self just to give you a rundown of what you're about to hear. If you notice, the intro was just a little bit different, than what you're used to hearing. It's close. It sounds familiar, but yeah, there's some different wording. And you notice that we introduced Eli as if he was some kind of special guest, which of course, he's always a special guest. But, he's now a part of the show, one of the hosts. And so back then, in the hundreds, he was doing a different show with us called And Another Thing. And every now and then, he'd come on to our show. And I think by that point, by the hundreds, he was a regular staple, but we were still introducing him as such. I can't remember when we made that conversion. But anyway, the reason why you're hearing this, these old intros and what you're about to hear is a show that was released in the past, is because sometimes life happens. Life happens and we're unable to record for that particular week, but we want to make sure that you guys have something week in and week out with the Magic Our Way podcast to listen to and enjoy. And basically what happened is, Rachel was out in Disneyland with her travel agent people and learning all the things, getting that product knowledge so she can better book a Disneyland vacation for you. And Danny got sick. He came down with something all of a sudden that just knocked him out the entire weekend. We were getting a play-by-play. Eli and I were just keeping in touch with him just to make sure everything's all good. And yeah, it was just, it just wasn't going to be a good sounding show. He could have done the Michael Jordan thing and tried to do it when he was sick, but it would have been rough. We didn't want to do that to him. We want to make sure he got his rest. Even though those events were negative, they do yield some positive results because we get to revisit some things we've done in the past. We recorded this back in 2015, about 10 years ago. These are combinations of highlights from shows number 115 and 117. So we're at show 600 now. We just crossed 600. So this was a long, long time ago. So chances are, unless you're looking for this specific show, you wouldn't have found it. And the reason why we chose this as like an encore presentation is because it's probably one of our most favorite interviews we've ever done. This was back in the early infancy of the podcast. We were only 3 years in, and we had just started doing interviews, and each time we did it, the guests became bigger and bigger and bigger. And this was probably by that point one of the biggest interviews we've ever landed on this show. And man, it was probably one of the most rewarding. We interviewed Lee Cockerell, who had just retired from being the vice president of Walt Disney World operations at the time. And he's very well known. He has his own podcast about leadership and management and business, things like that, creating Disney magic, time management magic, all those kind of books that he has, but he's, very well known, and he's still going to this day. But from what I remember, and this is an interview we always talk about, and I can't believe it's, it was back in the hundreds. I was expecting it was a little bit more recent than that, but man, it's over 10 years ago. But man, he was just one of the most down to earth people that we've ever interviewed, even with high profile. He was so down to earth, so cool. This is the type of guy that you can hang around at a bar or at a campfire or at a dinner table, just drink some whatever you want, booze, wine, liquor, whatever, and just chat it up, man. He was very honest. He's a great storyteller. He has a lot of great life lessons that he's acquired throughout his time in his career, both with Marriott as well as the Walt Disney Company. And we know we have a lot of new listeners that have joined since then that maybe have not ventured into the early work. So we want to maybe every now and then when we can't make a recording, highlight some of those interviews. I mean, we got a bunch of great interviews that we've done back in our early days, but this is definitely one of the ones that takes the cake, man. You're going to hear stories about life lessons learned as far as management in the Disney Company, his time with Marriott, just how he approaches things, his thoughts on some of the Disney things that were happening at the time. So yes, it's a little bit of a dated interview, but you will hear things like Illuminations, Wishes, Fast Pass Plus, and My Magic Plus, and all those different kinds of things that were existing back in the day. Pleasure Island, what have you. But it was a nice little trip down memory lane to listen to this when I was putting this together. And for all you new listeners, all you new movie-cons have joined since then, you're going to have a lot of enjoyment listening to this particular show. And for those that were back listening to us back then, man, you're going to revisit something. Chances are you probably have forgotten about this one, since it's been so long ago. And so you get to relive a little bit of Magic Our Way history here. But yeah, so before I end the jibber jabber there, man, don't forget, this was from show number 115 and 117 back in the early catalog. You might have to go to the website or somewhere else to see something that goes back if you want to hear the entire length of the interview. But this will kind of give you a gist of what you're about to hear. And also, too, back then, we didn't really do a lot of advertising at the end of the show, but so I'm going to just throw it up here. Don't forget, we have a couple of people do things outside of the podcast. First of all, we got Eli does great things with comics. Make sure you can purchase anything that he has created, including his Project Geisha graphic novel. Shoot us an email at magicourway@gmail.com, or you can follow him on Instagram, eivory504, or on Twitter, he is Hancock10166. On Facebook, he's Ivory. So ivorycomics.com. Make sure you check that out and support his endeavors. And also, too, like I said, Rachel is a travel agent with Wishful Wanderings Travel, which is a Disney earmarked and Universal preferred travel agency. So if you want to book a vacation to anywhere, including Disneyland, she has a lot of knowledge of Disneyland now. You can do so, including the international parks. She can also get you there too. Make sure you reach out to her, Rachel, at magicourway.com, or you can call her at 978-432-WISH. Again, that's 978-432-WISH. And you can follow her on social media, all the different places we tag her in a lot of our posts. That's Our Family Magic, Our Family and the word magic, all smushed together, as she says, and tell her you heard about it from the Magic Our Way podcast. So yeah, support those endeavors. And look, man, again, I've jibber-jabbered long enough. Let's get to our interview with Lee Cockerell. On the show today, I got an email today, and it says that we could upgrade our Lee. Kind of just like the iPhone. I didn't realize we could do that.
Oh, really?
So I processed it. I put it in, and we have our upgraded Lee on the show today. And you know who they gave it? They gave us the former executive vice president of Walt Disney World Operations, Lee. He gave us that, Lee. How do you like that?
Well, that's pretty fortunate.
That's a great upgrade.
Yeah. So welcome to the show, Mr. Lee Cockerell. How you doing, sir?
Well, I'm good. And, I fit right in with you guys in New Orleans because I was named after a bartender who gave my mother $20 when I was born.
Oh,
now, not to be too personal, but why did he give your mom $20?
She never discussed that with me. He might have been my dad. I don't know.
It could be one of those things where, son, you know what? One day I'll tell you the story. Today's not that day.
What happens in the South stays in the South.
Right.
Yeah, I'm from Oklahoma, the divorce capital of the world.
Really?
Oh, man. They all get a divorce down there eventually.
Really? Why is that? Oklahoma, you get to spend so much time together. I can't imagine why people would be filing for divorce.
That's why.
Lee, real quick, I just got to say this off the bat. My introduction to you happened about 6 years ago. we had just gone on a family trip to Walt Disney World, and we were on the plane with my father. My father is big time into leadership and management. He worked as a captain in the police department, and right now he's a director of security for the New Orleans Saints. And I see him reading he's hunched over, he's reading this book, and he's got a highlighter out, and he's highlighting passages of this book. And I've never seen him do this before. And I was like, what are you reading? And he holds up this bright blue book, and it was Creating Magic. And I was like, okay, I'm not a lead. I don't have people work on it. I'm kind of a department in and of myself. But at the same time, I mean, I was intrigued. I was like, so he let me borrow it, and I read your book, and just a fan, just a huge fan. And thank you for agreeing to be on this podcast.
Absolutely.
Thank you enough.
Well, I'm glad I didn't have a father who was a policeman, or I'd have really been in trouble.
It's scary sometimes. It was scary sometimes. I'd pop in all day when we were young, and I'd be like, "Oh, don't shoot! I'm a friend."
So now, I think our first question is that, and I'm sure you've gotten this one a million times over as the former executive vice president of operations at Walt Disney World. Can you give me a job?
Yeah, but you probably wouldn't like it. It's always a job.
You got to work your way up.
Yeah, when people in America say they can't get a job, that's ridiculous. You can get a job. You got to be willing to move. You got to be able to do a lot of things. Take anything you can get your hands on and show them what you can do, and then you move up.
You're right, and that's the thing. And having a job is so much better when you have I'm fortunate. I have a great boss. He trusts me to do my job, and he encourages me, lets me know when I do well and everything like that. And that is really all you can ask for in a job, because you can have one of the best jobs in the world, but if you're miserable and you're treated like you're one of thousands, I mean, it doesn't help you out any.
Well, that's true. And I think the statistics are 75-80% of people hate their job and probably hate their boss. So,
So I'm sure you've discussed your background a million times over. I know I've heard it, but I'm sure our listeners would like to hear you touch on it a little bit. But can I just ask you real quick, as a child, were you a fan of Disney growing up?
I was, but I had quite growing up. I grew up on a little farm in Oklahoma. We didn't get a TV till I was in 5th grade.
Oh, wow.
So once we got that, of course, we started watching Disney, the Sunday night Wide World of Disney and all that kind of stuff. And of course, we had the comic books and the storybooks, the little golden books and all that kind of stuff. But we knew Disney all from the very beginning. And little did I know that I'd ever get off the farm and get to Magic Kingdom.
Did y'all ever get an opportunity to visit any of the parks, whether it's the West Coast primarily, I guess? Or?
I grew up on a farm. You don't go on vacation.
Right. Yeah.
The cows have to be milked. They don't understand you taking a couple of days off.
Yes, indeed.
Poor cows.
Later on when I got married, my wife and I lived in Los Angeles when I worked for Hilton, and we went to Disneyland. We took our 2-year-old, and we had so much fun. We left him home and went back again. So 2-year-old's kind of a pain to have with you.
Yeah, I've done that. I've taken my little ones. I'm about to take another one in July down to Walt Disney World.
Well, I think it influenced my son. He's the vice president of the Magic Kingdom now in Orlando. So
yeah.
Oh, so we know people. I mean, that's how it works in Louisiana. See? You know people who know y'all are instantly cousins. Yeah, so that's great.
Yeah, exactly. So, a lady asked me one day, she said, Mr. Cockerell, can you imagine a world without Disney? And that was a pretty good question, because I could travel all over the world. And I was in Cambodia in the middle of the jungle, and a kid came up to me, a local kid with a Mickey Mouse T-shirt on. I mean, it's unbelievable. Everywhere you go.
Oh, wow.
And they're opening in Shanghai on June 16th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Mickey's getting around.
Yeah. Well, before we move on to that, we just want to make sure, you did serve in the Army. Is that correct? That's the branch of service you served in?
I did. I was a cook. I was stationed in Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Oh, look at that.
The worst place I've ever been.
So not to get personal, but is that where you met? How you met your wife? Was when you were stationed in Louisiana?
No, I was in the Army, and I met a guy. We were both in cook school, and we were the only ones who could read. And I came out number 2, and he came out number 1 in the class out of 300. But so I learned reading's a good deal. You get ahead that way. And so he said, "You want to go to Washington?" When we got out of the Army, and I said, "What are you going to do?" He said, "I'm going to be the chef at the Washington Hilton. It opens in 3 weeks." And I said, "Sure, I'll go." We went to Ardmore, Oklahoma, got my car. We went to Washington, went over the Hilton, and I got a job as a banquet waiter. I was 20 years old and stayed with Hilton 8 years. And my wife was I got into little management job, and I had an office, and my wife was in the office next door. She was 19 or 20, and she used to come into my office to use my pencil sharpener.
Well,
and that was it. And
the rest is
I watched her sharpening those pencils.
just something about the way you sharpen those pencils, baby.
Yeah. 3 years later, we got married. So,
and the rest is history, so they say, right?
Yeah, we got number 48 coming up in August.
Oh, wow.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, I'm coming up on my 9th on Thursday. So that's.
Well, I can tell you, my wife said I'm doing better since I retired. She said she's going to stay. So I know.
Well, that's good.
And that's not because you have her handcuffed to the bedpost or anything like that, right? She's
no, and she hasn't always said that.
So now, is that what you wanted to be growing up? You wanted to be a cook?
No, I wanted to stay married. My mother was married 5 times, my brother 4. I'm trying to get the family average down.
So you wanted to break the trend that was happening at the time. Yeah.
You've broken the curve. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I was one of these guys that didn't want to do anything. I thought you stayed in high school your whole life. And then I found out my mother married this doctor, number 4, and he had money. So I got to go to college, but I didn't go to class. So that doesn't work out too well. And that's why I went in the Army. Back in those days, you either went in the Army or you waited around and got drafted anyway. So
right.
If you weren't in college.
Well, you're an inspiration to all of us who didn't know what they wanted to do when they were growing up as well. So
definitely thank you for your service.
I seriously had zero idea what I wanted to do. I had no idea. People said, didn't you have a 10-year plan? I said, are you kidding? Every time I got promoted, I kept quiet. I was afraid they'd figure out I didn't know what I was doing. So that was... if you have a good attitude and you're organized, you can get away with a lot.
I was going to say, it's hard reading your books and not thinking that you don't have a plan laid out as to exactly how your future was going to play out.
I do more today than I did back in those days. I didn't know what a plan, why you would even want a plan. So, but when you're 16, 17, 18, 19, your judgment's not too good.
And from what I remember from the podcast and reading your book, I know that was skills that you had learned as you were going through the years. So it wasn't something that was like innate. You got out and you learned how to do things or how to be organized and all this kind of stuff.
It was 15 years. I'd been working before I went to a time management class and really learned how to get more organized and disciplined and how to plan my day, my week, things I need to be working on, kind of setting priorities of where I should spend my time, where I should not spend it, and what was going to pay off for me. And that was probably the key thing I ever did, this time management. That's why I wrote that book, Time Management Magic, because most people are so disorganized, it's frightening. And at every level, by the way.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Life is tough. There's a lot coming at us these days, and it's hard to keep up with everything. And half the people are on anxiety pills and depression and stressed out and drinking too much and whatever else is going on out there. We've got to really rethink the way we treat people. It's just too bad. And a lot of people, they've got a bad enough life. I tell you, everybody's got a problem you don't know about. And we need to be kinder, I think. People have already got enough problems. They don't need to come to work and have 12 more.
Do you have to treat the newer generation differently than what you treated, say, the baby boomers to the Generation X to millennials? I mean, are there different ways of treating different people?
Generations of people?
Sure there are. I mean, baby boomers the kids today are 10 times smarter than we were. And they know more. They're well-traveled. They are aware of more things. Education's better today. These kids today, they grow up and they want to be involved. They want to be heard. They don't want to be sitting in some low-level job for 5 years.
Yes.
Millennials are great, but I tell you, you got to get to know them. You've got to make them feel special. They'll do a great job for you, but they're going to have a life also. They're not going to work 60, 70 hours a week like I did. They're committed to their careers. They're out there working hard, but they also like to have fun too. And that's, as I tell people, you got to learn to work with these millennials. It's all we got.
Right.
If you don't learn to work with each generation, there's a lot of people in the baby boom generation are pretty bad too. I'm sure you know some of them.
Yeah.
And they're living on the streets in New Orleans.
Yeah. Yeah, but they have the coolest signs when you pass by them. Man.
Yeah. We like to say I tell people, just quit thinking about who they are, where they're from, what year they were born, and just focus on people as individuals. There are bad people my age, and there are bad people at 18, there's bad people at 30, and there's great people at each one of those. And just got to select better, be better. You got to pick better people. And you'll be happy with them. We have thousands of millennials at Disney, and they do a great job because we're very clear about our expectations. If you want to work here, here's how it is. If you don't, move on down the road to that other place. And so wherever that is. Yeah.
Whole Foods.
So when you tell people how it is, and we don't play around, we're putting on a show, and now you know, if you don't want to do this, and about 20-25% of the people after we have that conversation decide not to work for Disney. They get up and leave and don't even fill out an application after we clarify expectations. And that's, it's like your parents. Clarifying expectations is important. My mother clarified them. She was a terrorist before they invented them. My brother and I did not mess with her. She did not play. She didn't wait till you got home late. She came out and looked for you and made you get out of the car and get in her car. That was pretty embarrassing.
Well, I got to imagine that a lot of the cast members who've applied to work at Disney grew up kind of like many of us. Like they love the Disney movies, the cartoons, and theme parks.
Yeah.
When you have employees that already have a passion for Disney going into the job, I mean, how much easier does that make it for a leader to motivate their employees? Or does it make it harder because the expectation doesn't quite mesh with the discipline needed to, pull off the magic?
Oh, I think the people that decide they want to work for us and are really excited about being at Disney, they're so excited they can't stand it. And they're pretty impressed with our leadership. The managers treat them respectfully. They include them. They listen to them. They help them with their careers. They understand their aspirations. So that's a pretty good spot to be in. And 90% of our managers come out of the hourly ranks. So they know they can get ahead there. But we have very low turnover. And I think that's because people find the culture and the environment really so different than any place they've ever worked that they really appreciate it. If you got the right culture at home, your kids won't run away from home. So we've just got to think about culture and how we treat people and understand where they're coming from. And when you do that, I think culture is always beats any processes, any procedures. You get culture right, everything else turns out right. And,
kind of going along with the timeline here. You were at Hilton first, correct? And then you went to Marriott. And then I remember reading somewhere that you said you got recruited by Disney.
I did.
To go work for that. How did that come about? Was it something? Well, I'm just curious. How did that come about to where they saw you and said, "This is a guy that needs to come work for us"?
Well, this is a good lesson and get along with everybody. So I'm working at Marriott, and this guy comes to work with me, and he reports to me. His name's Sanjay Varma. They bring him in from the Middle East. He's been working for Marriott over there, and he got in trouble with at Mecca when he was trying to sell something he wasn't supposed to. They had to fly him out of the country before he got arrested.
Wow!
Oh.
And they sent him to Washington. They assigned him to me, and he worked for me, and he worked for me for a couple of years. And then later on, he and I were both promoted to vice presidents of food and beverage operations, and we worked together and became good friends. And then he left, and he went to Disney in Orlando. And about 2 years later, I got a call, and he said, "Lee, I'd like for you to come down to Orlando and interview to be the opening director of food and beverage for Paris." Yeah, I said, okay. So I asked my wife, I said, "What do you think?" She said, "Absolutely." I said, "Are you crazy? What if it doesn't work out? I'm here at Marriott. I got a good job. Everything's great." She said, "Lee, if you don't take this opportunity, you're going to regret it in 5 years. That you could have worked in Paris, you could have worked for Disney, and they were going to pay you." And I think that was right. Take a risk in life. We did. It turned out to be the best thing ever. I did. And so he recruited me, even though he'd worked for me for many years. And then now he recruited me, and I worked for him in Paris. So now I report to him. So that's how life works. And you never know who's going to be your boss. It might be that little 10-year-old standing next to you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you got to do a good job regardless of what your situation is regardless of who you're working with.
Yeah, that's a good way to show how trust is actually built. I mean, it's something that does take time, especially in a working environment. Yeah. And somebody says, "Yeah, he has skills. I trust him as well. Yeah, come up here and get a shot." Yeah.
And that's what he was looking for. I was one of the few people who could tell him what was on my mind. Most people were scared to death of him. So, and I would work together, and we were good friends. And I would give him good positive feedback, which is he needed, because he was not always paying attention to the people. He was always about the process or the job or the whatever you're working on, and you got to do both. Yeah. So we were a good team. We worked together for 3 years over there. Yeah, actually, we went to India together. He's Indian, so we went to India for a month once, and that was a big eye opener for me.
How so?
Just the poverty and the religious issues and people everywhere, and the beggars. I mean, people begging. I mean, it wears you down.
Oh God, yeah.
And people living on the street, on the sidewalk. And I mean, it's like unbelievable.
That's hardcore.
All right. So you spent 3 years in France. Is that correct?
I did. I went there 90 to 93. And then I got asked to come back to Walt Disney World to be the senior vice president of operations for the hotel division.
Okay.
And I did that for 2 or 3 years. And then I was promoted to be in charge of all operations at Disney. Yeah.
So was your background at the Marriott, and then your time over at Disney in Paris? You'd spent quite a bit of time in the hospitality industry. When you take that kind of a job over at Walt Disney World, I mean, sure, they got to get you up to speed on things when it comes to the theme parks. I mean, how do you get up to speed on things like for ride operations or because I can imagine the resorts and it translating well, but did they give you like a presentation like? Here's what you need to know about how our theme parks operate. How does that work out?
Yeah, actually, I was in charge of theme parks for 10 years. I didn't know anything about them. But I had people who did, and that was the key. That's the key in life. Get people around you who are experts, and I had experts. I didn't know anything about anything. I mean, I just had experts everywhere. And food and beverage, merchandise, retail, shows, entertainment, all these people report, security. Everybody reported to me, and I think there's a key to managing experts, and the key is get great people and then let them do their job, and they can come to you if they need some help, but probably technical help you can't give them because it's too complex today. I mean, you got to have so we had just great people and they did their job, and if I could help them with something, they came to see me, and I tried to keep the team working together, and that was pretty much my job. But I would say basically I wasn't an expert in anything.
So they come in there, they say, hey, listen, this is what we want to do, and you're like, makes sense. Go ahead and do it. You did your research.
I might ask them a few questions. Say, do you think this is going to work? What's the downside? What if it doesn't work? Can we reverse it? If it's not reversible, then let's work on it some more and look at it a little deeper, make sure we're on the right track. Or if it's going to cost $1 million, let's make sure we got our act together and let's do some more research, get finance involved here and some other experts. But yeah, I think you ask questions, you listen, and if you got great people and they know what they're doing, they usually lead you down the right path. Most people have idiots around them. That's why they get in trouble, And you got to have great people. And when you don't have them, they got to go to somewhere else. And excellence is a state of mind. You gotta just have people who are committed and they're on top of it. They'll go all the way. They'll go all the way for the guests. They'll go all the way for the company. They're committed. So yeah, that's the way I thought about running business. I think I could go run anything because I don't really have a need, and I'm not insecure about not being an expert. Now I got a lot of pushback when I was at Disney because a lot of the park the VPs. They didn't love me because I had never worked in a park. But they got over it.
As haters do. No, they got over it.
As such, working in the are you consulted on things, attractions maybe that are removed or put into parks? Do they come to you and say, look, this is what we're thinking of doing. We want to put this here. We want to remove that from there. Are you consulted on these or?
Oh, big creative changes. WDI, Walt Disney Imagineering, really comes up with that stuff. And a lot of that stuff's decided at Burbank with Michael Eisner and Bob Iger and those kind of guys. I was the operations. I ran it. They put it in. I don't know anything about the creative either. They could ask me, but they're just unbelievable what they come up with. These guys are like you guys, creative. They're artists. They don't understand the word budget. They've never heard of that. They would spend 10 times as much if we didn't keep an eye on them. But you work together with creative people because you need both. You need the financial results and you need the creativity.
Right.
And when you learn that, don't fight with them, get along with them because you need them. And they need the money and they need the support and they need the structure, business structure. So that's how Disney works pretty well. People are really all on the same path of getting it done And you do what you do best, and they do what they do best. And don't try to get involved in things you're not very good at, like a lot of leaders do. They like to try to make people think they know everything, and we know they don't. And it gets annoying.
So they may like come to you and say, like, let's say about this is like, we're talking about the 90s here. So let's say they may come to you and say, hey, Lee, guess what? We're getting rid of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and putting something else in there. You field the guest comments.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get the guest comments. There's hate mail on the internet about me anyway when they took out Mr. Toad's Ride.
Get out of here.
Oh, yeah, people want to kill you. I mean,
wow.
I mean, it's everybody wants everything to be the same at Disney, but they want changes too, and you can't do both. You got operating costs, and you got to change things out, and then later on they love it. Winnie the Pooh's in there now, I think.
Yeah.
And, they love it and they like it, and you just got to take it. People don't like change, but they want change. So this is, and
kind of a double-edged sword when you're dealing with a passionate fan community. They want more from you, but at the same time, they don't want you to change any of the things that they love. So
I mean, they would say I was an expert in food and beverage, so I got a lot of people would come and ask me what they should do and how it should be. But when they wanted to take out Mr. Toad, they didn't come and say, what do you think, Lee? They didn't care what I thought.
They just said, Lee, you might get some letters. You might get some letters.
Yeah. That's
just a few.
But you're the man for the job, so.
Yeah, letters can't hurt you like a fist can.
Right.
That's true. You really had nothing to fear after your time in Marriott.
Hey, bring on that mail. I'm not worried.
I had security doors in my office that would close if I was under attack. So
you need one of those trap doors.
That's the door that closes, another door that closes over
with
that.
The tunnel that goes straight to Discovery Island,
right,
for safety. Yeah, I was going to say during your tenure, I know there was a lot of significant closures. The Disney fan community, of course, speaks out on. You have things like extraterrestrial alien encounter that went in and then went out, in the Stitch, and then you had the whole downtown Disney thing with Pleasure Island and all that kind of business closing down. Like especially like the Ventures Club, maybe that the Ventures Club closing might have been a little bit after you.
No, I was there. It closed after me, but I loved the Adventures Club.
Oh, that was my favorite. But
it was very small, and it wasn't, Pleasure Island got to be a lot of young local kids coming, and you got to be careful. It's got to really come off as extremely safe at Disney with families there with their children. And that Pleasure Island concept kind of outgrew itself. And now it's really getting a huge makeover. I mean, it's unbelievable what they're building down there now with restaurant. People want more restaurants. You have to wait too long for dinner in so many places. And people want restaurants and shows and theaters and bowling alleys. Who knew? And it's quite a place. I imagine when it's finished, it'll be the number one place in the world for going down and doing anything you want to do.
Absolutely. I'm kind of surprised, because you're seeing a lot of new restaurants in there, but they're opening the Edison, which is going to be like a themed nightclub. They're opening oh my God, I'm blank. Oh, Jock Lindsay, which was a bar. Yeah, so they're actually putting a couple of bars back in there, but I guess they're getting rid of the nightclub atmosphere, which caused so many problems back in the day.
I think they want things that you can go to at 6 o'clock in the evening, not show up at 11. Most of our guests are gone to sleep. Anything that happens after midnight's a problem.
That's a great point because, now you have your guests, they're getting on a bus and they're going back, but now you have like maybe locals who are hitting up these clubs and they're driving and they've had a few drinks and...
Oh, yeah, it was a problem.
Oh, God,
in fact, my wife says America's the safest place ever in the world if you're not out after midnight and you're not involved in drugs.
Right.
So, wow, everything happens at 2 a.m.
That's a great quote.
Yeah, that's the time of madness. Definitely, that's the donut hour because that's when all the cops are out. People
call that the witching hour.
Yeah, it is.
Nobody wants to be out with that.
And alcohol and drugs kind of get people thinking not too straight.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
absolutely.
It's not magical.
Right, correct.
But I tell you what, you talk about fantasy and reality. I tell you where you see the two of those mix is your bus drivers.
Yeah,
man, those are great.
Yeah,
I was disappointed, like within the last few years, where they kind of like did more of an automated
pre-recorded spiel.
Pre-recorded spiel because the bus drivers were they're the ones who, like, when you were tired and you were dragging your butt onto that bus to go back to the resort to get it all geared up to do it again the next day
with your kids screaming.
Yeah, they were the ones who entertained you. Like you're like, I'm not happy now. I'm going home and I need to rest. And they would always entertain y'all. You had the best bus drivers ever.
Well, let me tell you, I think you just brought up a great point. And that's the point is all businesses, and especially Disney, you got to be careful when you put technology in to replace spontaneity. I mean, absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah. I'll just say it right here. Disney ought to rethink that because maybe somebody will hear this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Because I agree with you.
Let's hope so.
Oh, yeah.
The bus drivers did that not because they had to, because they wanted to. Right. It made their job more fun. People loved it. I got more letters about that. And so you got to really be careful about the interaction being missing between the cast members and the guests, because technology is great, but it's not great for everything.
Absolutely.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I say the same thing about the trams as well. Cause I remember when the trams kind of do a pre-recorded spiel. And I remember just listening to the tram guy in the back, just talking about
making jokes.
Making jokes.
Fun.
Yeah.
That was perfect. Absolutely.
It was awesome.
Well, maybe you ought to send a copy of this podcast to George Calagritas.
You got his email?
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
We'll show him some clarity for you.
Send it to me and I will get it over to him.
Absolutely. This will be up in a week. It takes me a little while to edit. I do have another job, but this will be together in a week and I will send it to you.
Actually, I'll post it on my LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and all those places because I got lots of followers at Disney.
Oh, great.
Oh, please.
That's awesome.
That'd be great. Thank you so much.
You know, my podcast I started doing just about a year and a half ago, and we already got, I think last month we got 30,000 downloads, so it's doing pretty good, and it's growing every week.
Well, you got 3 of those downloads in this room because we enjoy listening to your podcast. You do a great job.
Yeah. I discovered it probably about 3 months ago. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know why I hadn't found this sooner. But yeah, I've been binge listening, so I'm almost caught up.
It's short and sweet, and you have something you can take away from it.
You've had a hand in helping to create a number of like Disney amenities that many guests who visit the park still take advantage of to this day, like Magical Express or pin trading. Which of these amenities that you've kind of instituted to help put in the park that you're still proud of that's still there to this day?
Well, the pin trading, I love that because before we had pin trading, we did $3 million a year in pin sales. And then after we started it, the first year we had it, we did $25 million. And today it's $100 million business. And
wow.
I wore the pin lanyard every day. And I was the executive vice president. For $100 million, I'll wear anything on my head. And,
that's the truth. That's the truth.
And by the way, it forces you to interact with the guests because they come to you. Mm-hmm. And actually, a guest told me the other day, he said, we were in the park, Lee. We wrote me a note. And we were in the park and we went up to this guy at pin trade. And it turns out he was your son. I mean, it's just a small world and the kids just love it. And it helps kids be more not so introverted. They get used to talking and trading. And it's got a lot of good things going on. I love that a lot. Anything that gets an interaction with the guest and the cast is a big plus. Yeah.
And it's still going strong.
Man. It's insane.
I got a garage full of pins here.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I got several of those those little briefcase things they sell full of pins.
Yeah.
I don't really trade much. I'm more of like a collector. Unless I see something on a cast member, then I'll buy a pin just to trade that.
You probably go there and sell them to those little 5-year-olds.
Yeah, I could. But I like my pins, though.
Say that now. College is coming.
Yeah, this is true. I got 3 daughters, so I got 3 marriages to deal with. So
God bless you.
I have to save that. I have to sell that one day.
I don't want to let my comic book collection go, but one day I might have to.
Listen, I got a granddaughter that's graduating from high school. She's 17. She's 6 foot tall. She's gorgeous. And she's going to go to the University of Denver. And I told her last night, she was over at the house, and I said, Margot, I have to have one big conversation with you before you go to college. Just get ready, because I'm going to tell you everything about those guys at college.
I've had that scenario run through my head several times, and mine are still pretty like in the single digits. So.
You've got 3 guys talking to you right now that have no sons, all daughters. Yeah. So
you got to start talking to them, and I say by 8 or 9, you got to start talking about this stuff because they're getting it out there.
Yeah.
It's scary what they have access to.
Oh yeah, my daughter is 16, and actually she relayed a quick story to me, and I'm not going to go through all of the details, but basically she went out with a boyfriend, and she just started to learn to drive. Like, she literally got her driver's license last week. So she started off saying, hey, this is a funny story. They go out on this date, And she basically says to him, hey, I want to go shopping. He says, I don't want to go. So he drives off in his car and leaves her. So yeah.
Oh my God, you kidding?
I'm not kidding.
Make sure he never comes around again.
Right. So, but she gets in the car, she has a phone, so she does the GPS and figures out how to get home. But the thing is that she's just like, oh yeah, not a big deal. And I'm like,
it is a big deal.
I'm like, I want to talk to this guy today. Tell me where he lives. Tell me where the GPS is, and I'll go over there and talk to him.
Exactly. Yeah. Shame on him. I told my granddaughter, I said, my first piece of advice is trust no man. And until I tell you it's okay. Right now, your father and me. That's it. Nobody else. All those little boys lie. They say they want to hold your hand. They're lying.
That's it. That's it.
And so I've been telling her that since she was a little teeny thing. So even one day in the car, she asked me, she said, Pappy, are we Democrats or Republicans? she was about 7. And I said, Margot, I'm not going to have a conversation about this. You're going to be what you want to be when you grow up. And,
yes, indeed.
I don't want to influence you. And that turned out kids still remember that conversation, and that they were not just because we are certain thing. They had to be. In fact, we changed to independence. I got out of both those parties.
Yeah, but communication is very important. And I like how you stress that in a lot of your talks. I mean, like you said, you break it down very well so that people can approach you, be comfortable. And, the thing of clarity always sticks out to me. I like that very much, just making a nice, concise message so that nobody ever forgets it, Yeah,
talking to that, I kind of have a couple of questions for you as it pertains to a lot of your talks and your books and whatnot. When you're hiring a new employee, like, a lot of times people are hesitant to hire people right out of school that have little to no job experience. During your time at Disney, did you find that like a lot of experience could sometimes, like people that were interviewing with a lot of experience could sometimes be a negative as opposed to people who haven't had any job experience and were more adaptable to the Disney way, whereas the older school, like they had experience and they were more set in their ways?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. And that's why we are so clear when we interview people about how we do it. We tell them, this is Disney. This is not where you work. We don't care what you did where you work. Now, let me explain to you how you work here, being on time to work, hospitality, professionalism, no inappropriate jokes, no blah, blah, blah. We go through it because we don't know where they're coming from. And so that clarity really for the people who have a lot of experience in other places. Now, the young people, I tell young people, when you're 16, start working so you can come to the workplace and say, I worked at the grocery store bagging groceries. I worked at a bar in college. I did this. I did that. Because that pays off, too, that you've had exposure.
Yeah. Yes.
And so both of them. And but I think we're looking for attitude. We hire, as we say, hire the attitude and train the skill. And if you don't have a good attitude, I don't care how good you are, how skilled you are. You got to have a good, positive attitude, can do, be on the team, be committed to go all the way. And if you do that, we'll train you. We'll work with you. And that's the way I think about it. Without a good attitude, you can't make any headway.
Do you believe in like different standards for different employees, or should every employee adhere to the exact same standard?
One standard. I mean, we say everybody's polite, everybody's clean, everybody's got shine shoes, everybody's got the name tag on, no visible tattoos, no visible piercings, no purple hair. As I say, no weirdness at all. So, and that's what we do. And because we're putting on a show. And you got to play your role in the show. So we're going to tell you what your role is. Here's what you do. Here's how you do it. And if you want to be in this show, you got to do it. If you can't sing and dance, you got to get out of the show. And so, yeah. And I think more people need to be clear, because if you don't have consistency, you don't have a brand. People talk about consistency. Wow. Every time you go to Disney, this is the way it is. It's always clean. It's always friendly. That doesn't happen by accident. As in my first book, Creating Magic, it says the first sentence says, it's not magic. It makes Disney World work. It's the way we work. It makes it magical.
Great quote. Yeah. Great quote.
Yeah. And so, you got to have a way, and then you got to have leaders that can enforce it and train and have a relationship with the employees so they want to do a good job. I don't want to make people do a job. I want them to do a good job because they want to.
Right.
Not because I'm standing over them.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like you with your daughters, you're not going to be with them when they're out in that car.
Right.
You've already done your work. So
one of my favorite stories from your book was about how Bill Marriott came up to you because like you had the 70s hairstyle, and it's like, you don't quite quite look the part I'm looking for. And
that's not what he said. He came up to me and my hair was over my ears. It was 1973. Everybody had long hair, and it was Mr. Merritt Sr., the founder. And he reached up and took a hold of my hair. And he said, he looked at my name tag and he said, Cockerell, are you the manager here? I said, yes, sir. He said, why don't you get a haircut and look like it?
Oh my God.
And
I had a heart attack. I've never had long hair since.
Wow.
And he was right. Why don't you get a haircut and look like you're running this place?
Grabbing the hair though, it's a little.
I told my grandkid, don't go along with the trend. Don't get a tattoo on your neck because everybody else does, or don't do this and don't do that, because today you can be different by not having them.
This is true. You're absolutely right.
so whether on stage or in a desk behind the scenes, no purple hair, no.
We don't care if you have tattoos and piercings. You just got to cover them up, makeup, long sleeve shirt, take the piercing out till after work. I mean, you can't be in Fantasyland or Frontierland or all these places. We're putting on a show, and so that's the Imagineering guys. They all look like they're terrorists. So that's
especially that Joe Rohde.
Look at Joe Rohde, man.
Yeah,
if you didn't know Joe, you'd have a heart attack.
Yeah.
If Joe Rohde came to the door to pick up your daughter.
Like I don't know what you imagine, but
that's when you send the two
you gotta
lawyers.
imagine yourself going back. Yeah.
He's got a different job, and by the way, that creativity is good for him because he is creative, and he's God bless him. I admire him for being he's done a hell of a job in his life, but he's an exception.
Yeah, he is. He's brilliant. He really is. And Animal Kingdom is to this day one of my favorite. I think it's the most beautiful park that Disney does is Animal Kingdom. Yeah,
one of my favorite. Yeah,
and he's very good literary too. Like going on his website, just seeing his prose about how he grew up and everything.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. And, I'm thinking if I'd have come to interview with Al Weiss and I looked like Joe, I wouldn't have got hired.
There it is. That's true.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean with the whole different standards for different employees. Like, okay, so like Imagineers, are there different standards for creative folks than, say, the folks that are on your front line?
Yeah, I mean, creative people, you got to, if they don't face the guest, we do. But with creative people, they're already crazy. So you got to let them do it. I mean, most people don't understand creative people.
Yeah, even creative people don't understand creative people.
I tell it to my wife all the time.
We have them, chefs, pastry chefs, some florists or gruyere. I mean, there's creative. Chefs are hard to manage, just like any creative person. They got their way and they want to do it. And we work with them to let them do their menus and do whatever they want. And we get better product that way because they're very creative. You can't make a menu for a chef. They'll throw you out off the top of it.
Yeah, it's funny. What's funny about that is, I teach at university, and then so I'm dealing with my students. We're all creatives and stuff, and sometimes when I notice there's like a little downturn on productivity as far as what my students should be doing. Usually my first question is if there's somebody in your life that's new, that's involved. And so I'll ask them that. And then my next question is, well, are they a musician or are they a civilian?
Yes, exactly. Are they in jail or are they, are they in weekend relief?
Yes. Lee, I want to ask you this. And I imagine you're the guy to kind of speak on this because, I mean, you're so good at public speaking. The old wives' tale is when you're doing public speaking, you got to stand up there and you got to picture the audience naked. And to me, this makes no sense because it seems like my mind is going to be distracted picturing an entire group of people naked. Now, as the guru of public speaking, what is your suggestion? Is that an old wives' tale thing, or what would you suggest to people like if they have to get up in front of a crowd and speak for the very first time?
That's absurd, first of all.
Thank you.
There's a bunch of people, if I saw them naked, I'd probably faint. And a lot of people you should never see naked. But let me tell you, speaking, I dropped out of speech in college because I was so terrified to give a speech, and I didn't do anything about it for 15 years. And then at Marriott, I went and got help, started speaking and started learning how to speak. And I got good advice. And Bill Marriott's father-in-law was the professor of speech at University of Utah or Brigham Young, one of those. And he gave me some advice. I said, how do I do this? He said, Lee, first of all, don't give speeches. He said, tell stories. Tell stories to make your points. Use personal examples like your grandkids, your wife, your family. You lost your bike, your dog ran away. Whatever points you want to make, use personal stories. Don't let anybody write a speech for you. Never use a teleprompter. And he said, always remember, they don't know what you're going to say anyway, so it doesn't even matter if you forget half of it. And it's true. And I started doing that. And today I use no notes. I use nothing.
Get out of here.
I prepare in my mind. I've got a little kind of outline in my mind of the points I want to make, and I customize them for whoever I'm going out to talk to. Like last week, I was in St. Louis, spoke to Sears Automotive. So I went and visited Sears Automotive stores here in Orlando before I went. And I bought some things and had a good experience. And I was able to work those stories in about Kevin, who took care of me, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And then tomorrow I'm speaking to Electronic Aeronautical Association, and I'll talk about airplanes and electronics and safety. And then next week I'm going to Washington to speak to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Agency. And so I'm thinking about things like that, and I'm looking it up on the internet. I get the stories, and then I go in and no notes, no nothing, no microphone, no PowerPoint, no overhead, nothing. I just talk to the audience, and they love it. Because I tell them, listen, my mother didn't use PowerPoint. She said, look at me when I talk to you. And so that's what I do. And it's very powerful. People love it. People hate PowerPoint. It's obnoxious. People, if you know what you want to talk about, you don't need PowerPoint. Sometimes you can make a list, make 6 or 7, bullet points. You can walk over to the podium, look at them, get you back on track. That's good. Then you can go talk about it. If you know your stuff, you can talk about it, and relate it to family and relate it to real life. And when you were growing up, and the lessons you learned from your mother and your grandfather, and there's a million of them, and there makes up stories. People love stories, and that's what Disney's famous for. So that's why I started. So I don't even prepare anymore. I just blah, blah, blah. And they don't know what I was going to say anyway. So,
well, I'm glad to hear that, because now knowing that you're speaking tomorrow, we don't have to feel guilty that we're keeping you from preparing for tomorrow's speech. So
I don't really prepare for anything except dinner. So that's
Now, let me ask you this. I got to ask you this. It's a must. I'm sorry, but I have to. What are your thoughts on Walt Disney, the man, and his leadership style back in the day? How does the principles he preached back then hold up to today's standards?
Well, I think there's people like him still today that are pretty tough and very exacting, and they're very clear about their expectations, and they're high risk takers. And, if I could take really high risks, I'd probably be a gazillionaire, but I'm a little insecure about taking super high risk. But some of these people out there they throw it all out there. You got to look at all these people opening these high tech companies. I mean, they just go out there and they make it happen. And so I think Walt Disney was probably ahead of his time. He was so committed to what he did. He believed in what he did. He went through bankruptcies. He lost money. He did this, lost his characters from time to time. But here was a guy who believed. And I think if you want something to happen, it will happen. And that's one thing I know. If you kind of come to the conclusion you want something to happen, you can make it happen. If you can, as he said, if you can dream it, you can do it. And I think that's a good one to remember. And so I've done a lot of things I never thought I could do. And one of the advices I give, and I tell your listeners, don't underestimate what you can achieve in your life. It's probably far more than you think. And don't underestimate yourself. And also don't underestimate the impact you have on other people every day, making their life better, educating them, being a good person, being nicer to them, building up their self-esteem and self-confidence. Believe in yourself and believe in others, and you'll start to enjoy your life more, because people are going to appreciate you when you help them. And a lot of people are not getting much help. They go to the workplace, people don't even know their last name, they don't treat them right. And so I wake up every day now and I think about whoever I'm meeting with, I'm going to make their life better, not worse.
Right. No, there you go. That makes sense.
That's a good point.
Including my wife.
Yeah. The most important person that you should.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
I got to tell you, one of the podcasts that I really enjoyed of yours is, and I just listened to it again the other day, is the one that y'all did about depression. And how to handle that, and how people, are going through a lot of that stuff, and people that don't seem think that they need to help, but they actually do need to help. And with the whole macho thing with some of the soldiers, I thoroughly enjoyed listen to that, because, you know, I'm kind of going through a little bit of a thing at the moment, but listen to that a couple of times just kind of kept me uplifted that I'm going to be able to succeed through and through everything that I'm going through at the moment. So, I mean, that's one of my favorites.
Life's tough. I went through some really tough times. I mean, I would tell you for 6 months, I was totally miserable. I couldn't sleep. I mean, everything went bad, and I'm over it now, but I had to work hard at it. And I did an update on that one too, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
A few weeks ago, that everything I did to get better. I saw an acupuncturist. Every week I went to see a psychologist and took cognitive behavioral therapy from him for 7 weeks. I saw a psychiatrist. I exercise every day at 4:00. I do 40 minutes on my Stairmaster. I did weight training. I started eating better, cut out alcohol and caffeine, because this anxiety, man, I tell you, it's rough.
Yeah.
And then I lost my self-confidence. So I canceled all my speeches. And
oh, wow.
Because you lose when your anxiety, it just takes over. And it was a good lesson for me, because I didn't think that could ever happen to Lee Cockerell, because I thought I was bulletproof. And let me tell you, the brain is fragile and it's emotional. When it happens within your family or your kids, you guys are going to see. You worry about your daughters all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. No argument.
If something happens to them, as I tell people, you're worrying about them. They're not worrying about you. And you'll worry about them every night. And when you wake up and you can't sleep, or your daughter comes in crying because she's disappointed, you're going to be awake, she's going to be sound asleep. So, I mean, it's emotional family issues can really take you down. And then the stress of life just piles up. And a lot of people are suffering these days. And that's why I did that podcast, because I just didn't know what to do. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say that was just an incredible episode. I keep constantly on my iPod just to reference to, because it was just great.
Yeah, I told everybody I lost 25 pounds. I looked good and felt bad. The doctor said, maybe you can go for talk therapy. I said, no, give me the drugs. I need the meds.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, that's good. You guys focus on that stuff. Be careful you don't get out doing so much that you lose your way, because it's easy to do.
Yeah, very much. Absolutely.
And you lose your family, you've lost everything.
That's the hardest balance is to keep, is between the work and the family. And but you got a good family structure, and it makes the work that much easier.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got through that without my wife. She really put up with a lot of nonsense from me. I was in a bad mood. I didn't like it. Got into arguments, because I was totally mentally ill. And she just put up with it. And I woke up February 13th, and I was feeling all better. So,
your wife sounds like a saint and a great cook. You need to FedEx some of her meatloaf with the green Tabasco sauce.
Actually, we had it last week. It was
Get out of here.
So one day we'll come to New Orleans.
Oh man! If you ever make it to Shreveport, and we'll make it a point to meet up.
And we'll bring every Tabasco sauce they make.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me a shot.
This is from Lee. Lee's one of our travel agent.
Lee 1.0.
Yeah, Lee 1.0. You're Lee 2.0. This is Lee 1.0. He had a kind of a question about today's Fast Pass system and My Magic Plus, because let's say one of the biggest problems when you go to Disney is that people have a tendency to overplan their trip, and they're never going to be able to do everything they want to do in one trip. But at the same time, with all this Fast Pass Plus and Mad Magic Plus, where you're booking dinner reservations and ride reservations well in advance, it's kind of like Disney is kind of putting people in a spot where they have to meticulously plan every aspect of their vacation months in advance of going.
It's a lot of day planners.
Yeah. So so you have to plan, but knowing that you'll never see anything, or else you'll burn yourself out trying to see everything. What do you think about that? I mean, is there a happy medium? Is this just supply and demand? Is there more that can be done? Facing with this problem, what would you do?
Well, that's the major thing Disney's working on all the time, is trying to get that down where you don't have to wait in line so long. That's why the whole technology thing's taken over, and the fast passes and in advance and Disney reservations, and business keeps growing. And there's a type of person who wants to do that. I mean, personally, Lee Cockerell, I don't do those kind of vacations. I'm going to France on March 27th, and I'm going to go to a house in Provence, and I'm going to drink wine and lay on the couch. And, I'm a person, and then I'll go out when I want to, and we'll go for an early lunch so we don't have to wait in line. We'll go for an early dinner. So there's people that they love that Disney so much but it's like we went to Europe once. We saw 7 countries in 3 weeks. It was a big mistake. And now we go to one country and stay for a month. And then we really appreciate it and enjoy it. So it just depends how you're wired. But it's hard work to go to Disney, but it's, boy, people just go home and think they had the best time of their life. So
Can I ask you this? I mean, living in Orlando, do you and your family still go to the parks?
Oh, yeah. We go occasionally when we have guests in town that want to go. Mm-hmm. And, I've got a lifetime pass, so we go over there. My son's there. We go for Christmas, Halloween night. The kids want to go. We go do something. We go to dinner. We take people to see the illuminations or the fireworks, wishes. But we usually go for a couple of hours. And that's nice about having the pass. I don't, if I was paying $3,000 and had to go in there at 8 o'clock in the morning until midnight, I'd probably die. But, yeah, we go over. I'm over there quite a bit, and I speak over there a lot too. So, so I see everybody, and it's great. I mean, it truly is a magical place. I just go, wow. And I don't even understand all the fast pass stuff now because I haven't had to do it in a long time. But I know it's changing rapidly. Everything they're trying to do they're trying to make it easier. And it's hard to get in for dinner. And that's why they're building more restaurants. They need more and more and more because they got that meal plan now, and the people love it and they sign up for it.
I do. I think half of the fun of Disney is the food. I think that y'all have some of the best restaurants over there. And a vacation without a meal at various restaurants on Disney property. My favorite being the California Grill, Narcoossee's, all those. I mean, it's a vacation wasted. And speaking of which, starting off as a cook, what is your favorite restaurant? What's your favorite restaurant? Where would you go? Where would you anniversary? Where are you taking Priscilla?
Yeah, I mean, California Grill was my favorite too, because we had to go to Burbank. Dieter Hanning and I, who was the head of food and beverage, we had to go out and ask for $6 million to renovate it. that was pretty stressful. And so that was really the beginning. When we did California Grill, that we started hiring really great chefs, turned it over, let them have it. Flying Fish, I love. Narcoossee's is great. Citrus. And I mean, there's great food there and great chefs. And I just saw Victoria and Albert's got their 16th year of 5 Diamond.
Oh, wow.
And, only 8 restaurants in the world, I guess, have gotten that. And Scott, the chef there, he just keeps pumping it out year after year, man. He's just as committed now as he was 20 years ago. And so it is a great place. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
From the bottom of my heart, I need to thank you on behalf of myself and my wife, because thank you for helping to renovate and bring the California Grill back to prominence. That is where I proposed to my wife to marry me 9 years ago. So thank you. Thank you for doing that. It was actually absolutely great. So we did it over wishes, and they brought us out champagne and everything like that. Just a wonderful, wonderful experience.
You're organized, man.
Can I tell you something? I'm putting that on my resume. Lee Cockerell says I'm organized.
You can pull that up. My son was going to propose to his wife 23 years ago, 23. They just had the 23rd anniversary. He was going to propose to her in front of the Eiffel Tower because they were living in Paris. And he said he had a glass of wine and he got so nervous he did it in front of the refrigerator.
Oh, no. Having been in Paris in front of the Eiffel Tower, can I tell you, it worries me because there's a lot of people over there always trying to sell you things and push things on you. So I would have been a little bit nervous doing it in front of there, like in the restaurant overlooking. Oh, that's beautiful, though.
Yeah, that's where they did it.
Yeah.
Seems to have worked so far.
I'm writing that down in my day planner right now.
Yeah. So you guys let me know when you want to do this again.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that was a pleasure.
Hey, can I ask you a couple of real quick things before you go?
Yeah.
One, what is your favorite Disney character?
Well, I spent a lot of time with Tigger when I first joined the company. And I think that kind of is me. Tigger's pretty active, jumping around a lot and not too serious and
awesome.
kind of fakes it. So I like Tigger.
Tigger's my father's favorite as well. It's interesting that you say that. And lastly, hopefully someday soon we'll see a Lee Cockerell window on Main Street. And I'd like just to ask you, if and when that day may come, what would you like that window to say?
Well, it's there already.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it's right above the jewelry store.
You know who you're talking to.
Wow, I did not know that. I'm embarrassed that I didn't know that. What does it say?
You
What does
do,
it say?
and
Tell her what it says. Yeah.
I'll send you a photo of it when you give me your email.
Yeah.
Actually, they gave it to me when I retired. And
Okay,
had a big
that's cool.
ceremony, and it was I was shocked. Because most people, you have to be there like 25 years or something. I was there 16, but they did that, and I was really felt honored and privileged to have that. And my son worked over there in merchant. I told him to keep that window clean.
So then what does it say? What does it say?
It talks about that I wrote. It's about the Main Street Diary that I published every week, and it says Tales of Inspiration, Lee Cockerell, editor.
Oh, wow.
How perfect is that?
That's cool.
How great do you feel knowing that's there, that forever that will be there, that people will look
I
at
know. It's incredible. I get a note from people all the time that send me photos when they're there. They'll send a photo of, I just saw your window, Lee. Yeah. So, mine and Bruce Laval were next door to each other.
Oh, nice.
Right on Main Street.
Nice.
Who knew from Oklahoma to having a window on Main Street?
Great. That is awesome.
And didn't even know what he wanted to do growing up. This is awesome.
I know. Maybe it's better not to know too much.
But the plan.
You're an inspiration to all us late bloomers.
Yes.
Yeah, well, good luck to you guys.
Well, thank you very
It's
much.
fun down there.
Absolutely.
And whenever you're in our neck of the woods, man, we got some good restaurants too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you send me that email with your contact information. I'll put you in under New Orleans.
You got it.
Absolutely, sir.
Absolutely.
You guys take care.
You
All
too,
right,
Lee.
too, man.
Have a good one.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, guys, that was a great episode and a really awesome discussion with Mr. Lee Cockerell, former Executive Vice President of Walt Disney World Operations, man. Very great to talk with him. Had a lot of great information about life, leadership. And if you happen to catch us on this episode, man, you didn't catch the first half of this. Go back to the first half, the show previous to this, and listen to everything that he had to say there, because that one was just as good and chock full of information from a very experienced mind. So you don't want to miss that, man. You don't want to miss either of his episodes. Check it out. Check out his books. Listen to his podcast, Creating Disney Magic with Jody Mayberry. And it was just a pleasure to talk with him, and we definitely appreciate him taking the time to come on the Magic Our Way podcast and spending as much time as he did. That was just incredibly generous of him and a lot of fun. He was a lot of fun to chat with, man. So, Mohicans, ladies and gentlemen, I say Quaharini. My name is Kevin.
And I am Denny.
Magic out.
All right. Nachos are on plates.
And you are. Bye!